Hey there, adventurers! My name's Sarah and I'm the NeverlandNavigator. This week I'm doing a Q&A on polyamory and parenting. First question is, what made you realize that you were poly? I think I've known from the beginning that I was poly. Distinctly remember always wanting to have more than one partner. And at first I didn't know that there was a term for it. Well, then the internet came along and I did some research and I found out there was a whole lot of people just like me who want to have multiple partners, and that there was a term for it, and that I wasn't a horrible, terrible cheater person, but that was a relationship style that I was mostly interested in. But the term polyamory probably came to me probably around when I was 18 or so. Aren't there any boundaries? So this is going to go for any relationship, whether you're monogamous or you're non-monogamous. There's going to be boundaries that are different for each individual and each individual relationship. So yes, there are boundaries in my particular relationships. We have set those up as a group, and we've also set those up in individual relationships. Originally, when it was just my husband Alex and I, the rule was that new potential partners, my husband had to meet them first, and that if we were going to move to a more physical relationship, my husband wanted kind of veto permission. Now, we've since evolved, and that is not necessarily the only type of boundary that I have, but there are some specific ones that is unanimous for my family. This is not to say that this is the only one true way to do polyamory or to set boundaries. These are our boundaries for our family that, at bare minimum, this is what holds us together. So we have a policy about physical relationships where there's no kissing or genital play outside of the current polycule, without barriers, STI disclosure, and current STI testing of the potential partners. So STI, by the way, stands for sexually transmitted infection. It's the new term for sexually transmitted diseases. So if you're used to STD and STI are interchangeable. So first they need to get tested, and then they need to disclose what those tests, what the test results are, and then we have to use barriers. And if you have questions about how to use barriers in different types of physical interactions, I'd be happy to answer those privately or do a separate video on that. It is particularly important to me because I have so many partners, and if someone comes to me with something I don't want to share with the rest of my partners, I have to be the one to put boundaries in place for myself to make sure that I am not putting my other partners at risk. How do you introduce new people? If I am interested in someone new, there's usually a period of, flirtation and whatnot, as in any other kind of dating scene, and then comes the point where that flirtation moves to I want to be in some kind of commitment with you, whether that's casual dating or being in a relationship or however that relationship style looks. When it progresses to that point, then I typically let them know, hey, I'm polyamorous, you're not going to be the only one, you're going to have to go through this list of things if you want to become physical. Also, it is my boundary set that all of my partners have to unanimously agree on me dating permanently a new person. Again, this is not the one true way. This is how I do it because it is what works best for me. Because I get very excited about new partners, and sometimes I just want to dive feet first into a new relationship and all of the wonderful bubbly chemicals that come with that. But I don't think about how much time and energy I have to actually share with a new partner, and sometimes I don't see the red flags or the warning signs that maybe this new partner is not really going to work out with the rest of the family. Next question, how do you deal with a partner who does not want to be in a poly relationship? It's been a long time since I've had to answer that question, because after I left my first husband, I made it very clear to every other partner after that monogamy was not for me. So in the very beginning, if they decided that polyamory wasn't for them and they were uncomfortable sharing me, it was over. And I have no qualms about that. I have no interest in monogamy at all with anyone, so it doesn't hurt my feelings to tell people up front. But how do you deal with a partner who does not want to be in a poly relationship? Honestly, it all comes down to your choices. You cannot make anyone do anything. I'm going to repeat that. You cannot make anyone do anything. They must make the decision for themselves. No matter what kind of relationship you're in, they must make their own choices. So if you are in a committed relationship, whether you have multiple relationships or not, and you want to open that up to polyamory, and your other individual says, that is not for me, I do not want to do that, I will not do that, then you have to make the decision of whether or not staying with that individual is more important than exploring polyamory. And no one can tell you which one of those decisions is right for you. That's a decision that you have to make. And neither one of those decisions are bad. And then if you choose to be polyamorous and the other individual does not want to be in a polyamorous relationship, it's then their choice if they want to stay with you, or if they decide that that's just something that they can't deal with. So how do you deal with it? You talk about it, you expose them to it, and then the both of you have to make a decision for what's best for yourselves. How do you talk to your partner about being in an open relationship if you have cheated on them and they don't trust you as far as they can throw you? So I can speak from experience from this one. I was the cheater in this particular instance, and I tried to phrase my interest as, opening up our relationship to another individual together. At that point, you would consider us to be unicorn hunters, which means a heterosexual, typically male and female partner looking for a bisexual female to fit in their little triangle. Yeah, that's a terrible triangle. To fit in their little triangle. And then the unicorn being the magical perfect girl who, falls madly in love with both of them and is a wonderful, couple fulfillment and all that. So I tried to talk to my partner about that, and he still was not interested in polyamory, and so I made the decision that perhaps this male partner of mine is not actually a good fit for me. So again, it comes with being open in your communication, being honest about what your needs are, and dealing with the insecurities that you or your partner may be having about polyamory and an open type relationship. Just to be clear, there are so many different ways to practice polyamory, and I'll be doing a video on that. An open relationship is different from having a polyamorous relationship. There's some semantics there, but those semantics are very key when you are talking about boundaries. So, don't people get jealous? Yes. In fact, I have a whole video on that, about jealousy. Talk about it. the answer to almost every question that people ask me about polyamory is, have you talked to your partner about that? I know it seems amazing that it's super easy. The answer is, oh, well, just talk about it. But the answer really is super easy. Talk about it. Why do you feel that way? What is going on that's making you feel hurt? What am I not providing for you that you perceive I'm providing for this other individual? What do you need more from me in order to make our relationship stable? How do you handle disagreements? So, in our family, if someone has a disagreement, and this goes along with the next one, how do you handle a partner having issues with another partner? If we have a disagreement, whether between myself and another partner, you gotta talk about it. Again, finding out what the root of the problem is and trying to do so with the least amount of emotional reaction as you can. That is probably the number one factor to arguments, is that it always seems that one person will start to escalate, and so the other individual in the fight feels like need to get louder or nastier or pettier than the next person. Don't do that. Try to take the emotions out from the problem as much as possible and deal with what the actual issue is, what the actual facts are. And I find that speaking in a calm tone and dealing in facts instead of emotions and parroting back what people are saying are some really good tactics for any kind of communication, but specifically in an argument. So if I'm hearing from someone that they feel like I don't spend enough time with them, I will go to them and say, are you saying that I don't spend enough time with you? And they'll either say, no, that's not at all what I'm saying. I'm saying you don't spend enough quality time with me. I have plenty of hours or minutes with you, but those hours and minutes are being divided among so many other things. Okay, so you want some more quality time. It's not amount of time. See, that very simple interaction, I could have gotten really upset and be like, well, I spend all the time with you. We live together. And what do you mean I don't spend enough time with you? But taking those facts and dealing with it in a calm manner will help you communicate with your partner much better. Okay. How do you handle a partner having issues with another partner? Anytime one of my partners comes to me and says, oh, I'm having such a hard time with so-and-so, I just wish so-and-so would do this, or I just wish so-and-so would do that, and can you help me? I'm like, okay, so have you talked to them first? Do they know that you're upset? Well, no. Okay, well, I'm not gonna help you until you talk to them first. You need to go to them and say, what you did hurt my feelings, or what you said hurt my feelings, and I have a problem with it. Can we talk about it? Then, if the two of you have tried to talk things through and you can't seem to come to an agreement or some kind of compromise, then you can come to me and say, hey, I have talked to so-and-so, we disagree about this thing, do you mind helping me work through it or mediate through this problem? And then I'm happy to. But otherwise, I will sit and listen to people gripe, and then I'll say, okay, go fix it yourself. Because ultimately, it is not my business what's happening between my partners. It is only my business when both partners ask me to make it my business. How do you make time for everyone? Scheduling. I have the wonderful benefit of being a stay-at-home mom, so I'm not constrained by work hours, which makes having so many partners much, much easier. I do not think that I could have 6 partners if I had a full-time job. So scheduling, I'm very good at Tetrising in time for everyone, and trying to make sure that every individual gets to see me during the week and has alone time with me, and my partners also realize how busy I am, so they are very good about being selfless with their time. And if one person in particular is having a tougher time not having quality time with me, or we're not being able to schedule things, they're all very good about giving up, time here or there in order to accommodate whatever the need of the group is. But scheduling is great. Google Calendar is a phenomenal thing because everyone can share the same calendar and everyone gets to see, okay, this is what's happening on this day, this is what's happening on this day, this is what's happening on this day. And so it's very easy to schedule appointments or alone time or date nights or whatever it is. We all have the same information at the same time. Let's see, how often do you get all of your partners together, and what do you do when everyone is together? So once a month we have family meetings, or what we call meet and bleats, because we eat dinner and then we bleat like goats. And we do end all of our family meetings that way. So we have these family meetings where we will have a dinner with everyone involved, kids included, and then we have meetings afterwards to kind of keep everyone apprised as to what's going on in everyone's life. Are there any major events happening? Are there any major topics we need to talk about? How are we going to go forward as a family? What are we doing in our community? Are there any major issues between individuals that have not been resolved? And do those need to be brought up at the family meeting for, kind of like group therapy almost? And so those typically last a good 2 hours, and then also dinner on top of it. I really enjoy it because it's one of the few times that I get my whole family together, because of the way that everyone's work schedules pan out. There's never really a time that everyone is together. So it's really special for me to have all of my partners in the same place, happy, laughing, eating together, talking about growing our family together. Those are really, really wonderful moments for me. When time allows, we like to play games together. We like to do, events together. We go out on group dates together. Whether we have the whole group together or just a couple of people. I do a lot of group dating and group events because it's hard to be able to do a single date when you have 6 partners. Also, I do a lot of kid-friendly dates, or dates after bedtime, just to allow for the time that I have with Orion, and also the other clan cub. As the years go by and more kids are included, we're gonna have to have more family-oriented and kid-oriented events that we go to. And then this last question, so I get this question a lot, and I think this is a huge misconception about polyamory. This last question is, so is everyone sexually involved? And I think when people think about polyamory, they automatically assume that it's polysexuality, and that's not the case. No, everyone is not involved. In fact, most spokes of our wheel are not involved with each other, but as it stands in this particular constellation, everyone is involved with me. many people assume that if you're in a relationship with so many people, then it must always be a sexual relationship. But there are so many different types of relationships that don't involve sex at all. That's just not the case. Alright, adventurers, I spent a lot of time talking about polyamory by itself. I'm going to put the polyamorous parenting questions on another video. So if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe down below. You're welcome to put questions in the comments box, or you can email us. That information is also going to be available. You can send me a Facebook message. However you want to get a hold of me, you're welcome to do that and ask more questions. And I'll continue to do this if it's something that you like and it is something that you guys want to see more of. I'm super happy to talk about this, and it definitely makes it easier for me to know what you're interested in talking about. Remember that the types of things I like to talk about most on my channel are polyamory, parenting, and paganism. If you want to talk about my personal life, that's fine too, but anything that is, a little more adult-oriented, I prefer to do that in a private message or an email instead of on the vlog. I'm trying to keep these vlogs, PG-13. So those types of questions I want to do in private, but I'm not opposed to them, and I'm super happy to answer any questions that you may have involving relationships or relationship styles. I am not a certified counselor, nor do I know everything about everything, but I can tell you my experience and my opinion on these things, and if I don't have the right answer, then I will find someone who does. I know a lot of people who are involved in a lot of things. So again, like and subscribe down below, and as always, I'll see you second star to the right, straight on till morning.